long before the death of the alleged shooter, Adam Lanza, interestingly recorded to be the 13th of December 2012, a day before the shooting we are led to believe actually took place. Which means this man must have had a very strong motive, driving him to carry out this massacre by achieving the unknown and raising himself from the dead in order to do it. Maybe that's why there is absolutely no security footage of him going to the school, because the cameras were not equipped to film a ghost. But it is just as plausible that a ghost carried the arsenal of firearms and ammunition that we are told the skinny 20-year-old had on his person, changing magazines and firing off 150 rounds of a Bushmill semi-automatic rifle with absolutely no training to our knowledge. And although some news sources were reporting that Adam Lanza had been denied gun purchases several times from shops, there was no corroborating evidence of security footage to prove these claims. Associated Press video journalist Bonnie Gosh reported,
reportedly told police that his brother has a personality disorder. Federal authorities are also looking into whether or not Lanza visited any local gun ranges, although there's no evidence that he trained for this attack or was active in any gun communities. In Newtown, Connecticut, Bonnie Gosh.
Pete Williams, reporting for NBC News, said,
"The school official says Adam Lanza's mum, Nancy Lanza, was never on the full-time staff list. This may be an important part of information in regard the motive. On the 13th of December, Adam Lanza went to the school, a couple of officials have told us, and got in some kind of altercation, is the word they used, between him and 4 other staff members. Now, they say that of the 4 staff members he got into an argument with, 3 were killed in yesterday's shooting. A 4th person was not there. The 4th person was not at the school that day, and that staff member is being interviewed by federal investigators." Connor Simpson, reporting on December 15, 2012 for The Atlantic, told us, "The Wall Street Journal first cast doubt on Lanza's connection to the school. No one has heard of her. Lillian Bittman, a former school board official, told the Journal. Teachers don't know her. Relatives told ABC News she may have volunteered there, but she wasn't a teacher. A parent told the Associated Press Lanza was a substitute, but they couldn't verify that with any records at the school. The Stanford Advocate reported the same thing. So, which is it? The Newtown area superintendent said, Lanza was not a teacher at the school and was not in their database at all on the Today Show Saturday morning. It would appear she has no major connection to the school at all." Lieutenant J. Paul Vance told NBC News days later that there was no report of any altercation.
Now remember, there exists no credible evidence that there was ever a shooting, other than the testimonies given by the performers in the Sandy Hook play, with numerous sources stating that the supposedly grieving parents lobbying for gun control had all moved to the area within the last 2 years prior to the alleged shooting.
A 9 News reporter said, "And as I walked down the street of Newtown, to get to this location, not far from Sandy Hook Elementary, I happened to run across a woman who had tears in her eyes, and she was being led by 2 younger women, and I asked if she was okay. It turns out she was the school nurse at Sandy Hook Elementary, and was for 15 years. She described the gunman coming into her office. They met eyes and she jumped under her desk and he inexplicably just walked out. Just absolutely chilling, and I asked if she knew the suspect's mother, and she said she did, and that she was an absolutely loving person, and a very caring, experienced kindergarten teacher, just the kind of person you would want with your 5-year-old children."
The school nurse Sally Cox, however, must have been handed a different script, because her statement that she gave to the mainstream media was that she was already under the desk when the shooter came into her office, and she only saw the feet of the gunman.
He came into my office.
He came into your office? Did he see you?
No, I was under my computer desk, and I saw his legs. He turned around and walked out.
There are so many inconsistencies and contradictions to the Sandy Hook official narrative, and I am only scratching the surface. But there are far too many unanswered questions and anomalies for anyone to take this hoax seriously after close inspection. The alleged shooter, Adam Lanza, was, according to the press, a computer wizard, but did not have any identifiable presence on the internet.
CNN News reported, back in 2009, it was the last time we have any hard record of any classes he took, any courses he enrolled in. After that, right after the time the divorce was finalized, Adam Lanza, it seemed, fell off the face of the earth. There's no record of anything that he did, what he may have accomplished, who he met with. We had a very difficult time even finding friends who knew him from the period 2009 on. The New Wall Street Journal reported that, later, Gloria Milas asked her son Josh why he hadn't returned a video game console that belonged to Adam Lanza. No one knows where he is, Miss Milas said her son told her.
The best person that corporate media journalist Piers Morgan could drum up as someone who knew the shooter was a young woman, Alex Israel, claiming to be an elementary school classmate of Adam Lanza, who we are told at the beginning of the interview knew him well, before divulging that she didn't really know him at all, as they were not in any classes together, added to which she had not seen him since elementary school. But to sell the official narrative, she adds that his mother, Nancy Lanza, was a kindergarten teacher.
I don't know if I could have predicted it. I mean, there was something off about him. I really only knew him closely when we were very, very young, when we were in elementary school together.
Did you know his family, his mother in particular?
I mean, I knew her, we lived in the neighborhood, so I knew her through neighborhood events. My mom knew her. I mean, she was a very nice woman, a kindergarten teacher, obviously, so I didn't know her personally, but she, from what I remember, she was a nice woman.
Another big question is, why were the parents of Alice and Wyatt not the ones who complained to the media that they were misrepresenting their allegedly deceased daughter with a photo of another child? When a photo of Lily Gaubert was published by mainstream media outlets, prompting Lily's mother, Kathy, and not Alice and Wyatt's parents, 4 days after the event to complain that her daughter, alive and well, was being pushed as the image of the alleged victim of Sandy Hook, Lily's photo was taken down and replaced with another child's picture. One of the Sandy Hook players, Dr. Begg, who according to the Huffington Post claimed to have only received 3 of the victims at the Danbury Hospital 12 miles away from the elementary school where Adam Lanza was said to have carried out the massacre, though what firearms were used by the shooter depends on which part of the official story one chooses to believe, as the inconsistencies provide an inconclusive result, putting as many holes in the official narrative as the already dead Adam Lanza is said to have put in the school. It should be noted that it supposedly took almost an hour for even one alleged victim to arrive at the hospital 12 miles away after the alarm was raised at 9:35 a.m. on that day. But the details of this very questionable event were not the concern of the hearing Dr. Begg attended in support of gun control, and though he mentions Don Blaine and claims to have done research into this massacre that, unlike Sandy Hook, really did cost the lives of a large number of children, he was not concerned with the aspects of the documented cover-up.
This feeds straight into the aims of Agenda 21 that sees the family unit as unsustainable and calls for the state, or Big Brother as George Orwell described it in his book 1984, to become the parent to our children, with the actual parents resigned to being their designated carers or registered keepers, as long as they comply with Big Brother's dictate, legislations and protocols at all times.
The intention is to deliver the masses to the hands of IG Pharma, with an increase of mental health centres and examinations leading to more people being medicated. That in turn will of course result in the rise of more people suffering with compromised mental health following the effects of long-term, patented for profit chemical use, handed out by a pharmaceutical industry spearheaded by Auschwitz founding fathers such as Bayer and Sanofi, formerly Hoist. Newtown, where the events of Sandy Hook are claimed to have taken place, is the home of the Unity Project, headed by Dr. John Woodall, MD, a Harvard psychiatrist, and is based on the Baha'i faith with its headquarters in Israel, employing the political aims of a one world government, one world police force, a single world currency, as well as implementation of Agenda 21 and the Earth Charter. The Earth Charter is a 2,400-word document by Maurice Strong, Stephen Rockefeller, and former communist leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, with the aims of creating a one-world government. Established in 1994, it led to the launch of the Earth Council in 1997. The Charter was approved in 2000 at UNESCO headquarters in Paris by the Earth Charter Commission, led by its authors. In order to deceive people, you have to sell the lie with enough truth and agreeable objectives to make them believe that the motives being presented are sincere. But when words such as equality, love, and peace are politicized, they take on a whole new meaning, with peace and love equating to compliancy and obedience. Sandy Hook has nothing to do with the welfare of children and public safety, but everything to do with totalitarian control, to force, at gunpoint if necessary, populations into a new world order that otherwise could pose a threat to the plans and securities of the despotic elite if they allow the people to sustain the means of any real resistance to the fascism that sits in the heart of their establishments. I remind the reader that Amatos aligns itself with and promotes profoundly the universal, natural, common sense laws of gods, men and women, to not intentionally cause harm, injury or loss to another, which most certainly does not require the need of a nanny state to protect us from ourselves. The police are already being militarized and armies being deployed onto our streets to enforce their depopulation agenda, protecting the criminals perpetuating these crimes against humanity. If those around the world serving in these politically influenced gangs, be them the police, private security firms or armed forces, are willing to carry out the will and dictate of well-known liars, cheats, murderers and child rapists, attempting to install a much publicized and documented Novus Ordo Seclorum, or New World Order, then it speaks volumes of the type of person they are. If when aware of the facts, they continue to serve their corporate establishment behind the tired old excuse of, I was just obeying orders. The fear that grips the serving individual and blindsides them towards their mindless obedience and actions will ultimately affect those they love and cherish at the end of the day. For if they do not stand with the lawful men and women who oppose the fascist tyrannical control of their corporate masters, they will be as much to blame for the crimes committed and the human misery they have helped to create. Undoubtedly, attaching the energies of darkness upon themselves in this life and those that follow beyond their exit door, and until their karmic pull is cleansed of the negative forces they have generated. Enjoy your money if that is all this life is to you, because at the end of the day it will not buy you salvation, love or respect. We need genuine, universal, natural, common sense, lawful societies, which can never exist whilst the people allow the most serious crimes of church and state to continue, and the true rule of law, the law of gods, can only ever be implemented by the will of an educated people.